Nicholas, where are you going? I'm going home. Nicholas, swaying slightly, headed towards his car. A girl caught up with him, barely able to keep her balance. Nicholas, you forgot something. He stopped, struggling to remember what he could have forgotten. Unable to recall anything, he asked, "And what is it?" The girl leaned in close to him. "Me, Nicholas, you forgot me." The guy laughed. "How could I forget that?" He opened the car door, offered the girl his hand, and helped her into the car. But she didn't stay there long. A second later, she was already halfway out of the sunroof. The group still standing at the bar shouted back, waving their hands. Nicholas just drove away, and the girl kept waving from the sunroof. Cindy wasn't Nicholas's love interest, they were just longtime acquaintances. They occasionally slept together. There was no talk of love, of course, just a good relationship. Both Cindy and Nicholas were fine with that. Neither of them wanted a family yet. Why bother? Everything was going well as it was. Their parents fully sponsored them, so they maintained the appearance of studying and enjoying life to the fullest. In the morning, Nicholas woke up with a headache. There were some delicious smells coming from the kitchen. It seemed Cindy was making breakfast. This wasn't a common occurrence, so Nicholas hurried to the kitchen. "Cindy, what did I do to deserve such attention?" Nicholas lightly kissed her on the nose. Cindy smiled. "There's no time for a farewell dinner, so we're having a farewell breakfast. It's not our first day of being friends, after all. Or not being friends." Nicholas, who was eating his scrambled eggs with a sandwich, stopped chewing. "What do you mean? Where are you going? Is it for long?" Cindy sat down on a chair. "I, Nicholas, am leaving for America tomorrow. And in a week, I'm getting married there. I'm marrying an older and very wealthy man." Nicholas swallowed. No, he didn't love Cindy, but he was used to her. "Older? How old?" "You're almost 25 yourself." "He's 50. "What? Cindy, have you lost your mind?" "Nicholas, everything's fine. He's nice, he loves me. The main thing is, he has a lot of money. I'm tired of my parents' complaints. I spend too much money, I don't start a family, I lead an immoral lifestyle. It's much easier in America, and nothing ties me down here. I'll still come to visit." Nicholas sat silently, listening to his inner thoughts. It hurt that Cindy traded their company for marriage. But he could understand her. "Well, Cindy, I wish you happiness then. Who will cook my eggs now?" Cindy patted him on the shoulder. "There's always someone else to take their place, isn't there?" Cindy was escorted by the whole group. Nicholas was truly sad. Cindy was not only a bed partner but also someone he shared and consulted with. As soon as Nicholas's parents found out that Cindy was getting married, they immediately pounced on Nicholas. "What kind of idiot are you? Cindy is a girl from our circle. You should have married her, shown some sense, and joined your father's company." "Mom, what kind of wife would Cindy make?" "What are you saying? You know everything yourself." "Well, everyone's a bit wild when they're young, but then they become normal." "Mom, Cindy's not one of those. You can't tame her. I bet you anything that as soon as I want to, I'll bring you a bride." "Very funny. Anyone who finds out about your money will jump at the chance to marry you. But none of them will love you." "Mom, you're talking nonsense." "So, if I propose to anyone who knows about my situation, they'll all agree?" "Exactly. Let's test that theory then." Yes, of course. Let's. You still don't know the ways of the world. Well, of course. If you're wrong, you leave me alone for 3 months. And if I'm right, then in 3 months, you should have a bride who loves you. Preferably, you should love her too. But that's another question altogether. All right, Mom. I'll test your assumption today. In the evening, Nicholas met up with his friends at the bar as usual. There were also girls in their group. There weren't any poor or destitute ones, of course, but let's just say their status varied greatly. They all knew Nicholas well, just as they were well aware of who he was and how he lived. So, he decided to test his mom's assumption on them. Nicholas sat, sipping his beer, observing the girls. There was Sarah, for example. Her father worked as the head of security at the market. They didn't live poorly, but they didn't exactly have it all either. What could her father make from old ladies at the market? And as for doing something on her own, she didn't seem to have the intelligence for that. Let's start with her. Sarah was by the bar, and Nicholas waved her over. Sarah, come here. The girl came up to him willingly and sat down. Want some beer? No, I'll have wine. Coming right up. Nicholas glanced at the waiter, who promptly appeared nearby. Bring the lady some wine and snacks. Let's see what she says. Sarah immediately placed her order and leaned towards Nicholas. Are you feeling sad about Cindy? Yeah, not exactly. It's just boring. Going out has gotten old. Sarah took a sip of wine, looked at him somewhat seriously. Maybe you should get married? I've been thinking about it myself. But who would marry me? I like to have fun. Plus, I don't have a girlfriend. Sarah lowered her gaze. I'm glad Cindy left. She wasn't right for you. You need a simple girl who loves you. Like me, Nicholas, I would love you very much. Nicholas almost fell off his chair. Since when did Sarah have feelings for him? That's nonsense. Sarah, are you serious? And would you marry me? I would. They sat a little longer, and Nicholas said, You've had your fun, but once I'm ready to go home, I'll find you. Sarah leaned into him, kissed him, and disappeared into the crowd. Nicholas wiped his lips vigorously. Well, that's not evidence. What if Sarah actually loves him? He just hadn't noticed. He shouldn't have toyed with the girl for no reason. Oh, Mom, what a scheme. But a bet is a bet. He scanned the room. Lena was dancing in the center of the dance floor. Nicholas thought for a moment and headed to the DJ, asked for a slow song, and intercepted Lena, who was heading outside. What are you doing, Nicholas? Want to dance? Lena looked surprised. Then, as if she remembered something, she smiled so enchantingly that Nicholas immediately understood she loved him too. So it turned out. Lena pressed herself against him throughout the dance, whispering in his ear about how she wants a family and all that. Nicholas went outside and sat on a bench, feeling utterly dejected. How could this be? Does everyone really not care about feelings? Is money all that matters? He knew for sure that Lena was in a relationship with Carl, a guy from their group. They even seemed to be in love. But Carl's father is just a beat cop, and that's why Inna doesn't want to marry him. She knows there won't be a glamorous life with him. Kelly came out onto the street. She saw him, took out her cigarettes, and walked over to him. Kelly's father used to be quite successful, but something happened to him, and now he barely makes ends meet. Kelly sat down next to him. Nicholas, what's wrong? Kelly, can I ask you a question? Sure, shoot. Kelly, would you marry me? The girl laughed. What's gotten into you, Nicholas? Have you been drinking? Why? I'm asking you seriously. Kelly looked at him. Nicholas was dead serious. She was silent for about 5 minutes, apparently weighing something. Then she replied, I would. Finally. And do you love me? I do. What do you mean finally? Yeah, right. Never mind. Nicholas got up and headed to his car. He wasn't just disappointed, he was in a state of shock. How could this be? Seriously, are all girls like this? As soon as he entered the house, his mother came down from upstairs. There you are, I thought it was burglars. You've never come home this early. Or did you conduct an experiment? Did someone agree to marry you? Nicholas looked at his mother with hurt in his eyes. How did you know? She sighed, hugged him. Let's go to the kitchen, have some tea, talk. It's an event that my son is home in the evening. Nicholas obediently followed his mother. She was a powerful woman, but fair. Even his father, who was feared by the whole town, treated her with respect and even some apprehension. But he loved her very much. There were even rumors about their family. They said that Nicholas's mother had gypsy roots, that's why she enchanted his father. It's not common for those with a lot of money to live harmoniously. It's customary for them to stray from each other. And such loyalty was almost considered bad form. Megan brewed some tea, set a bowl of jam and fresh buns in front of her son. Nicholas started devouring everything. He knew his mom cooked everything herself. Despite their money, she immediately said that no strangers would be in her kitchen. His father barely persuaded her to at least hire an assistant to clean, wash. Now the assistant is Megan's right hand. Sometimes she allows her to fully prepare dinner or lunch. You know, Mom, if I ever get married, I'll choose someone like you who can cook. Megan laughed. Well, then you should visit catering establishments during the day, not at night. Maybe you'll find yourself a sincere cook. Nicholas pushed his cup away. Mom, I'm curious. If I really fall in love? If I find a sincere girl who loves me, will you accept her? His mother looked at him questioningly. I don't understand. Why wouldn't we accept her? Well, what if she's not from our circle? I see what you mean. If she loves you, it doesn't matter where she's from. But if she tries to deceive you, she won't get away with it. Even if she's the mayor's daughter. Nicholas knew perfectly well that if his mother said so, it would be so, and it didn't matter what his father would say. Although, what would he say? He would always be on his mother's side and, of course, his son's. They dispersed into their respective rooms. Nicholas took out his phone. Cindy had sent a photo. She was embracing a man against the backdrop of some villa. Yes, it was clear that he was older, but he looked decent. A wide, bright smile fit. Overall, it wasn't as bad as he thought. And then Nicholas thought, Cindy didn't even hide the fact that she's marrying for money. And knowing her character, you can be sure she told the American everything. Nicholas couldn't sleep for a long time. He kept thinking about something, mulling over things in his head. And then, after making a decision, he quickly fell asleep. The next day Nicholas woke up quite early. It turned out to be a day off, and his father was also at home. When Nicholas saw him at 9 in the morning, his father dramatically grabbed his heart. Son, is there a coup in the country? Or did all the bars and restaurants suddenly close? Nicholas smiled. I'm glad to see you too, Dad. Does your mother know that there's someone here for breakfast with us who hasn't been with us for 10 years at this time? Dad, come on. Of course, she knows. They cheerfully entered the kitchen, where his mother was just setting omelets on plates. Good morning, Mom. Both dad and son kissed her and sat down at the table. Megan, who's the head of the family here? She looked at him playfully. Of course you are, dear. Why? And why do you know our son is home, but I'm not? Ethan chuckled. Megan, I don't snore. Of course, you don't snore. You roar like a bear. Nicholas saw that his father frowned. This topic was touchy for him. Then Megan conciliatorily said, Well, don't be offended. At least I know you won't spend the night with a mistress. How would she survive without your snoring? Nicholas, followed by his father, laughed. His mother knew how to poke fun in such a way that it seemed offensive, but also funny. After breakfast, Nicholas asked for their attention. Mom, Dad, I want to talk to you. I came up with something and I want to get your approval. His mother looked at him with interest, his father more with apprehension than interest. Well, go ahead, spill it. What did you come up with? I've decided it's time for me to get married. His father snorted. Very interesting start. Do we have to help you with this? No, Dad. It's just that Mom and I talked yesterday, and she said that girls, knowing who I am, who my parents are, will marry me without love, for money. I didn't believe it. I thought I was special, that I needed to be loved. But what I experienced. You see, Dad, whoever I proposed to immediately agreed. It turns out they loved me already. It disgusted me. I want to go somewhere. Maybe for half a year. Live like an ordinary person, and then come back with a bride, knowing for sure that she loves me, not my, well, Dad, your capital. Very interesting idea. And how do you plan to live, looking at your car, your lifestyle? Dad, I've figured it all out. I'll leave the car at home. And where to live? I'll find a job. I'll live like an ordinary person. I'll visit my parents on weekends to live my usual life for 2 days. Father tapped his fingers on the table, while Mother looked thoughtfully at her son. This is certainly an adventure, but why not, she said. Even if you don't find a bride, at least you'll learn some independence. Father supported his wife, saying, In that light, I agree with your mother. It would be ideal if you could also find a job in your field. Did I spend so much money on your education for nothing? A week later, Nicholas was leaving. He chose a city slightly smaller than their own, but still quite large. He rented a small apartment and began searching for work. Perhaps it could be considered lucky, but within 3 days, he was hired by a new company. It was all young people there. The boss thought that young minds were just what the budding company needed. Nicholas threw himself into his work with real fervor. It was a change of scenery, everything was new and interesting. Literally within a month, he was promoted to department manager. After all, a good education made its mark. For a while, he completely forgot why he embarked on this journey. But during one of his visits home, his mother and father sat down to talk with him. Son, maybe you should come back after all, his mother suggested. You're doing so well at work. But your father has been waiting for you to join his company for a long time. You understand that it's not suitable for you to work as just an ordinary employee. But what about love? Nicholas asked. Stop it, it's all games, his mother replied. You'll meet your true love eventually. But arranging love like this isn't right. No, you don't understand. It's almost like a game. That's precisely it. It's a game for you. But for the girl whose head you'll fill with nonsense, it'll be life. What guarantee do we have that as soon as you get what you wanted, this game won't bore you? You'll play and move on, but she'll have to live with it. Megan already regretted starting these conversations with her son. He argued. Of course, she was pleased that her son was becoming independent and even working. And he didn't have time for nonsense. But still, it was just not serious. Everyone knew that Nicholas would eventually return to his wealthy life. But Nicholas insisted. No, I want to live like this a little longer. Let's say 3 more months, and no, 6 months. And if I don't meet anyone, I'll come back. His mother sighed, and Ethan said, promise that you'll just live. If you meet a girl, great. But if not, don't intentionally deceive anyone. Nicholas promised his father, but he thought to himself, how would anyone guess? Intentionally or not. We'll have a real, strong love. When he returned from his weekend trip, a surprise awaited him at work. A new girl had come to work with them, a striking brunette. Bright makeup, short skirt, high heels. Nicholas immediately understood this was what he needed. There wasn't a girl left in the office who hadn't spent the night with him. But they were, how to put it, neither here nor there. Ready for anything, brainless chicks. They took it quite calmly when Nicholas stopped inviting them. Because getting involved with an ordinary clerk for long wasn't much of a joy. The new girl's name was Elizabeth, and she immediately caught Nicholas's attention. At lunch, he joined her at the table. Hi, he said. The girl smiled. The smile was so rehearsed that for a moment, Nicholas thought he was looking at a cover of a fashionable women's magazine. Hello. I'm Nicholas. I'm aware. I don't think I need to introduce myself. Wow, this girl knows her worth. You don't have to be particularly picky with these ones. Elizabeth, how about taking a stroll after work? You know, to see the city, have some wine in a restaurant? I look positively on it. What time? Shall we meet at 7? Is it okay if we switch to 2 form? No, that's fine. Then let's meet at 7 at the restaurant by the waterfront. Nicholas was ecstatic. What a girl. So vibrant. So beautiful. He decided that it wouldn't hurt to spend a little more money than he could afford tonight at the restaurant. But if any questions arise, he could always say his mom and dad help him out. Or he does some side jobs. Honestly, he was sure Elizabeth wasn't the type of girl who cared about such trivial things. At the appointed time, Nicholas sat in the restaurant. He had already placed orders for both himself and the girl. Now he just glanced at the clock with a bored look. Elizabeth was running late, but Nicholas was sure she would come. He knew a few adventure seekers like her. Elizabeth arrived 15 minutes late. Nothing new, as a girl should behave on a first date. They had a few drinks, danced a bit. Elizabeth talked about herself. She had always lived in this city. She studied in the capital, but had to come back because there was plenty going on even without her there. She got a job at their company, but as soon as something more lucrative comes up, she'll switch jobs right away. By the end of the evening, they were both pretty tipsy. Elizabeth was pressing herself against him so seductively that Nicholas was melting. Finally, he asked, Elizabeth, I don't want to rush things, but maybe you could come over to my place. The girl smiled and nodded. The night was as hot as the evening. In the morning, Nicholas woke up, of course, with a headache. He turned his head, sighed. Elizabeth didn't even think of going to the kitchen to make breakfast for them. He didn't like that much, But then he thought it was just the first time. Next time, of course, Elizabeth would behave differently. He got up, made coffee for himself and Elizabeth, made a few sandwiches. Soon, the girl appeared. An hour later, she left, and Nicholas thought he had found exactly what he was looking for. They had been dating for a month now, everything was wonderful. But Nicholas didn't rush to tell his parents that he had found his love. He didn't understand why himself, but something was holding him back. What more could he wish for? Elizabeth was stunningly beautiful, smart, loved him, as she had said many times. In general, everything he could dream of. But something was pulling him. One day he realized what it was. Work was a complete mess, no time for lunch, so Nicholas rushed out to the lobby, grabbed coffee from the vending machine in the darkest corner behind the door. While the coffee was brewing, he heard Elizabeth's voice. He was about to peek out, but realized Elizabeth was talking to her friend about him and decided not to reveal his presence. "Wendy, I can't go out tonight. I'm staying at Nicholas's." "Why do you need him anyway? You said yourself that if you're gonna hook up, it should be with some rich guy. And he's just an ordinary guy who works and gets a salary to live." "Wendy, do you think I'm stupid? Nicholas is not as simple as he pretends to be." "What do you mean by that?" "I think he's not who he claims to be. You get it? His watch costs as much as my apartment. Yeah, and at the restaurant, he spent as much as he earns in 3 months. Yeah, and he knows his wines and the dishes at the most expensive restaurant. So, it's not the first time he's ordered something like that." "Wow, interesting. Well, and overall, he doesn't behave like someone who's used to living on just one salary. Yeah, and his clothes, I know my brands and prices. Something's fishy here. Maybe he's on allowance from his parents? Well, if so, it's temporary. These rich kids often get cut off." The friends left, and Nicholas stood there with his mouth open. Then he clenched his jaws tightly. "Okay, Elizabeth, let's see." In the evening, when Elizabeth came over, he was pensive. "Nicholas, what's wrong?" "Elizabeth, we need to talk." "Of course, Nicholas. You know I'll always help if I can." "Elizabeth, be honest. Do you love me?" "Of course, I love you." "Why are you asking?" "And what? Will you even marry me?" "I will, Nicholas. I truly love you." "Well, then I must confess to you. All of this, the apartment, the clothes, the watches, it's not mine. It's my friend's. My best friend was just on a business trip abroad and let me stay. Gave me permission to use everything. You see, we're like brothers. Always together, hanging out, having fun. It's just that his parents are very wealthy, and I grew up in an orphanage. And now he's coming back. So, I thought instead of renting a place, since we've already decided to get married, maybe I'll just move in with you." Elizabeth's expression was something to behold. It instantly turned cold, distant. "You know, Nicholas, I think I'll go. I have some things to do today." "But what about? What are we going to do?" "Nicholas, I don't know what you're going to do. I'm not going to marry a middle-level clerk." Nicholas jumped up. "I don't understand. You were all for it half an hour ago. What changed?" Nicholas looked at her with incredulous eyes. He struggled to hold back a laugh, but he managed. "I just changed my mind." Elizabeth quickly packed her things into her bag, which had accumulated quite a bit at Nicholas's place over the month. The girl was serious. She didn't even say goodbye to him. She just stormed out the door and clattered down the stairs in her heels. Nicholas closed the door behind her. Well, to hell with her. Mom was right. He needed to go back and not play these stupid games. Nicholas lay down on the sofa in the large room, turned on some movie, and fell asleep peacefully. He didn't know how much time had passed, but he woke up from water dripping on his face. Nicholas jumped up. A large stain appeared on the ceiling, and in the center of the stain, directly above Nicholas, drops were accumulating and falling off. Damn! What's going on? He rushed to the apartment above, rang the bell, started pounding on the door with his foot. Hey, open up! You're flooding me. But there was complete silence in response. He started banging again. What are you doing? Why are you breaking into my apartment? He turned around. Before him stood a young girl. She looked like an angry sparrow, small, skinny, huge eyes, thick brown hair falling over her shoulders. Hands on hips and a very combative expression on her face. Miss, you're flooding me. I live one floor down. Nicholas tried not to be rude, although he really wanted to slap this sparrow. Look, she even puts her hands on her hips, as if he did something wrong. How? The girl rushed to the door, opened it, and ran inside. Nicholas followed. Streams of water roamed through the apartment. The girl stopped in confusion, then rushed to the bathtub. As expected, the bathtub was full. Water was gushing from the faucet and couldn't be turned off. Nicholas immediately saw that the drain in the bathtub was tightly sealed by a sponge, which, apparently, had been washed away by the stream or was just left in the bathtub. He pulled out the sponge, and the water started draining with a roar. Then he pushed the girl aside. The faucet wasn't working. The handles spun freely and didn't affect the water pressure. Where do you shut off the water? I don't know. Nicholas inspected the pipes and finally found the coveted valve. Another 5 seconds of effort, the rusty valve gave in and the water stopped roaring. The girl and he were soaked as if they had stood under a faucet. He looked at her and asked, "Why are you just standing there? What should I do?" "Grab a towel and start mopping up the water." "I'll go get a bucket or something for your rain." He headed for the exit, and the girl dashed for some towels. Nicholas returned after half an hour. He moved the couch, he put the dishes he found. The apartment was no longer filled with the waves of anxiety that were present when they entered. The girl was still mopping the floors, but it was evident that she had already gathered everything she could. She looked up at him with tear-stained eyes. "What's going to happen now? Are you going to take me to court?" "To court? Why? I don't have money to pay for repairs." "Well, let's see. Why assume the worst right away? Maybe it's not all that bad." "It's bad. And that's not all. You can't imagine how much water has been absorbed, and now it will ruin everything." "Wow, how do you know?" "I studied at a construction college. We covered this. Haven't you learned that faucets need fixing?" "We have. But the paycheck won't come until next week, and the faucet is expensive. I just tied it with a rag, it only leaked a little." "Well, that explains why there's a rag in the drain. Women. You have to be resourceful like that. The main thing is to make sure it doesn't leak anywhere else. It shouldn't. My apartment is on a corner, and the main water is in this room and the bathroom." Nicholas had to take charge of this scatterbrain. She was so naive, so sincere. She believed absolutely everything he said, but she couldn't do anything herself. She cooked deliciously, she could sew on a button, but if the key got stuck in the lock, Kimmy just gave up and didn't understand what to do. It must be said that such little misfortunes happened to her constantly, and Nicholas had to help his new neighbor 5 times a day. Kimmy was actually very pretty. Fluffy hair almost down to her waist, huge green eyes. So delicate, so pure. Nicholas didn't even realize when love appeared in Kimmy's eyes. He saw that she didn't just love him, she worshipped him. Only now did he understand what real love looks like. They had been dating for 3 months already, making plans. Kimmy said they would definitely have 2 kids. Nicholas was not against having 3. He liked that he was experiencing completely new feelings now. He had never known such before. They decided that she would work first. Then after maternity leave, if they were lucky to have a baby right away, she wouldn't go back to work. You know, Nicholas, I always dreamed of building houses. Of course, I understand that they won't trust me with that right away, but I studied well and I know everything. My smart girl. You know, this weekend we'll go to meet my parents. How? This weekend? Maybe let's do it next weekend. Kimmy, are you scared? Stop it. My parents are the most welcoming. He had already talked their ears off to both his mom and dad about how he would soon introduce his fiancée. Mom was genuinely happy for him. From Kimmy's stories, she really seemed wonderful. Nicholas, did you tell her that you're rich? No, Mom. She plans to work to help support our family. She's working now too, but she wants to switch to her field. Oh, what's her field? She studied building tall buildings. That's serious. Indeed, but I wouldn't trust her with it. She's like a magnet for trouble. Kimmy immediately won over Nicholas's parents. Megan, in particular, started calling her daughter after just 3 days. When Kimmy saw the house they arrived at by taxi, she asked Nicholas in surprise, "Did you get the address wrong?" "Kimmy, I haven't told you everything about myself." "I'm sorry, idiot. I don't understand." "What do you mean?" "Let's go inside. Then you'll understand everything yourself." And Kimmy understood, even cried. "I can't marry you." Nicholas was stunned. "Why?" he asked. "Nicholas, look at yourself, and then look at me," said Kimmy. The whole family had to calm Kimmy down. Megan insisted that they finally move in with them. After all, the wedding was coming soon. Nicholas agreed to return to the city but said, "Mom, don't be offended, but we'll be living in my apartment. We need to get used to it. We'll come to visit you very often, and you can visit us." Wedding preparations were in full swing. Nicholas worked at his father's company, while Kimmy and her mother were busy with the celebration. 2 weeks before the wedding, they found out that Kimmy was pregnant. The parents threw a real feast to celebrate. Nicholas was happy with everything. He was content. One evening, returning from work, he stopped by the service center because something was knocking in the wheel. While they were checking the car, he sat down to flip through a magazine. "Nicholas? No way." He looked at the luxurious lady in surprise. It was Cindy. They hugged. The scent of expensive perfume, bright manicure. Yes, and Cindy, who was always chic, looked even more stunning now. "Cindy? You look amazing." They talked for an hour. Cindy got divorced, lived in America, and had come to visit her parents. She had a lot of money now, but no man. You can't imagine how boring it is with Americans. And in bed, I won't even start. Suddenly, Nicholas wanted to be with Cindy in her apartment, in her bed. How many passionate nights they had spent there. And he couldn't resist. "Cindy, shall we go to your place?" Kimmy couldn't sleep until morning. Nicholas didn't answer the calls. She didn't call his mother. She didn't want to worry her. In the morning, Nicholas showed up. Get ready. Where have you been? Kimmy, everything later. I know a place you'll love. Kimmy loved walking in nature, and that's where Nicholas took her. Tonight, he realized that Cindy, and only Cindy, was everything to him. Only she could be with him. He honestly told her everything that was happening in his life. And then they came up with this plan. Not far from the city was a hill or a ravine called the Cliff. It was of enormous height, with rocks at the bottom, washed by spring waters for many years. That's where he took Kimmy. She loved walking in such places, and everyone knew that. And everyone also knew how much he loved her and how well she was treated in his family. No one would ever think that Kimmy didn't fall by herself. And he would be free in a flash and would leave with Cindy to America. His parents helped him. When Nicholas called, crying, and told how Kimmy fell, they decided not to make a fuss, to bury Kimmy quietly. But they didn't find the body. Nicholas didn't know about it anymore. He rushed to America, and Cindy was holding his hand. Life with Cindy became a real fairy tale. They slept all day, walked at night. Everything was just like before until Cindy left. Happiness lasted literally 2 years. Nicholas was fine with everything except that his parents somehow started treating him very coldly. But he had no time to think about it because his wild life completely absorbed him. Waking up one morning after another binge, Nicholas realized that someone was breaking into Cindy's house. And it was so forceful that the door was about to give way. He jumped up, pushed Cindy, and ran downstairs. Behind the door were the police, and they clearly didn't make a mistake with the address. As it turned out, Cindy and her ex-husband had set up a whole international network for trading illegal substances. How Nicholas managed to avoid punishment, he never understood. He was deported from the country. He returned to his parents like a beaten dog. His mother didn't say anything, but her gaze said a lot. Yes, he had everything, a job, Kimmy, love, a child about to come soon. But he blew it all. What a fool he was. He got tired of being at home and decided to take a walk. His mother looked at him sternly. Nicholas, where are you going? Mom, I'll just take a walk. I won't even take the car. She brightened up slightly. Well, go ahead, get some fresh air. He left the house, turned towards the center, and started walking slowly. Nothing had changed here. Well, what could change in just a year? But no, something had changed. When he ran, this park was just being established. It was situated between elite houses and apartment buildings, seemingly creating a border between wealth and ordinary people. Nicholas turned towards the park. It was beautiful, of course. You could feel that a lot of money had been poured into it. He sat on a bench near a small fountain and started watching the people strolling around. He recognized some of them. They were distant or close neighbors of his parents. Some seemed to be from the houses on the other side. A young mother with a stroller caught his eye. Apparently, the baby was being fussy, and she had to take him out of the stroller. Even from a distance, it was evident that the petite mother was very beautiful. Nicholas looked around, but couldn't see the father anywhere. Maybe he could offer to help, push the stroller, and hold the baby. As he started moving towards the woman, another woman approached her. Nicholas was surprised to see his mother. Megan Arnoldovna reached out and took the baby from her. What are we fussing about? You've worn out Mom's hands, you rascal. They turned around, and Nicholas locked eyes with the mother of the baby. Just a second before she turned away, he realized who she was. Kimmy. Nicholas's voice was hoarse. He felt his hands trembling, his knees shaking. Kimmy looked at Nicholas with fear, then at the woman who would have been her mother-in-law. Nicholas? He didn't know what to say. He didn't know what to do. He never thought he would ever meet Kimmy again. He was sure she was dead. And this was his son. His son. Lord! What had he done? They stood facing each other in silence. His mother took the stroller and moved away. She never told her son that Kimmy had called her when he went for a walk. About how she and his father found her, how they paid for a private plane, how they saved the girl in Germany. Why bother? He wasn't interested in any of it. She stopped near her son. She'll never forgive you. Neither will we.